What's up, everybody? Talking to individuals, CJBK. It is, what is this? 4:20 a.m. And the sound of the birds, that is just one of the small ways I find peace in this world. With everything going on, I just spent like the last 3 hours trying to see if I could help my mother with her, the swelling in her legs. But I already know a majority of that definitely has to deal with, the gang stalkers and electronic handlers using their devices against her immune system, basically, keeping the swelling, you know, consistent no matter what, no matter what we try to do to help her. And I mean, for the most part, I try to see if I can teach her as much about grounding and things of that sort. But she's not necessarily yet, she doesn't fully understand the importance of copper grounding or things of that sort. And then when, they know that, like, if they attack her in certain ways, it'll play a trick on her mind to make her believe that, this thing is associated with pain, so I'm not going to do this anymore. So yeah, whatchamacallit. And then, of course, when you live in an apartment building, it's pretty much like, you're pretty much surrounded, whether it's above or it's below or it's to the side of you, no matter what. You're going to be surrounded, and then on top of that, you got the EMF coming from your electronic devices. You got the EMF coming from, your wall outlets, the electrical wiring in the apartment. Then if there's like a cell tower on top of the building or a cell tower across from you, there's a numerous different ways that they can basically, come at you with this, right? And then I try to explain to my mother that, if she want to keep the swelling reduced in her feet, she needs to do a cold water whirlpool bath. And I can do that here, but she's like, you're not gonna freeze me up. So I'm just like, all right, remember what I said, you can only control you. You can do as much as you can to try to, like, inform and educate others on, what needs to be done if they want to try to help themselves. But remember, at the end of the day, you have to protect your peace. You have to protect your peace. And I try to teach everyone that I know that's basically insanity for you to keep repeating yourself to people. I'm not one of those people that's going to keep repeating myself to someone, no matter how much I love them. I'm not going to upset myself by constantly trying to repeat myself, to you. It's like, eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables, eat the vegetables. The more you're getting frustrated because, they're not eating their vegetables, the more you're lowering your own frequencies because, frustration slowly turns into anger. Now your vibrations are coming from up here and it's coming down here. You gotta, and I just got chills when I said it, so I'm right. The God lets me know when I'm on point about anything that I'm saying. And I mean, right now they're basically radiating my genitals right now. So and then all day today, or yesterday rather, while I was working, they basically were doing everything they can to try to see if they attack me in various different ways. But they mostly love going for my sciatic nerve, right? But like I told you, I try to keep these on me. Remember my neodymium repelling wands. I'm gonna try to make a bigger one to see, what difference would that make if I'm like put more of them together. I put that. I take that, and then oh, there we go. I take that and I would put it like inside of my graphene gloves. So I would take that and I would put it inside of my graphene gloves, and then whatchamacallit, and then like I'll either wear it like on the palm parts, and then when I'm walking around I can just like squeeze like that, or like what I noticed too. This is how I learned that there's definitely like a film of frequencies that ride along the skin, right? So when I first started doing it, I used to keep it, I used to keep the wand on my palm. So then when I'm walking the street, I'll just, squeeze on it, and it kind of like it kind of reduces the amount of pain frequencies that I'm, experiencing. Then all of a sudden, I started to realize it wasn't working as good, but I was still getting it. So then I started to move it around. So then next thing you know, I had it on top of my hand, and then all of a sudden, boom. I was like, okay, so that reduced the frequency. So then that's when, and I just got chills again when I said that. So that's when I started to realize it is literally something along the lines where I haven't read the book, but I definitely feel like I need to read that book. Elana Freeman, ELANA, FREEMAN. She wrote this book called Under an Ionized Sky, and it talks about how the elites, or governments and everything, they constantly spray these basically like nanoparticles, things that are highly conductive particles. They're like kind of like, it's like nanoparticles of metal, right? And all this stuff is aerosolized. So when it floats down, it gets into everything. It's on our skin. We breathe it in. It's in our bodies. It's in our food supply. It's in our water supply. It's everywhere. This is why, people like Tony Pantalaresco and, other anti-nano, let's call them engineers and herbalists, they, build things like, they build and teach people about, the importance of copper and how to build an anti-nano bucket. And then there's the for lack of better words, the nano busting triangle. These things that basically try to extract or deactivate a lot of the unnatural man-made conductivities that is poisoning our bodies every single day. Like when I take a bath, I do what is called a radiation detox bath, and it's like 2 cups of Epsom salt, 1 cup of baking soda. You could use either more or less. The original recipe is 2 cups of baking soda, 2 cups of Epsom salt, 1 cup of baking soda. But depending on the size of your tub, you could use more, more of each, depending on the size of your tub. And then what else? And something else. But yeah, oh right. And then also, if you want to try to cleanse your skin a bit more, you can add like a 1/2 cup or more of hydrogen peroxide. So it's like a full detoxing, cleansing bath, right? But a lot of the things that you also got to keep in mind with all this is that for the most part, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent because they're just going to keep radiating us until we die, or until they successfully come up with some plot or scheme to get us arrested or probably locked up in a mental institute. Remember, there's three things that they're trying to perfect right now: killing in secrecy, setting people up to get locked up for things that they never committed or did, or getting you basically committed to some type of psychological facility where they can then basically drug you up and do what they want to you. They either want to drug you up and do what they want to you in some facility, put you in jail where your resources will be limited, and probably have you die in jail, either by influencing some inmate to do whatever stuff that that they want to happen to you, or they'll just basically want to see you die just from their silent attacks in general. And like I show you several times on the architecture of radio app, is that they're using all these devices, these unknown carrier cell towers, and there they go, to do all kinds of things, from whether it's just pulsing frequencies to alter brainwave activities, to block your memory processing, or it's whatchamacallit, or it's to basically cause you pain. Let me see. I don't have, well, it's a little bit of a kink still in the back of my yeah, it's still a little bit of a kink there, because the frequencies themselves, they can basically they can once they find your resonant frequency of whatever tissue or cell in your body, they can basically disrupt it so much to a point where it's almost like permanently damaged. But then you got to keep doing all the things that you can to naturally heal yourself. I try my best not to mess with too much pharmaceutical stuff. I don't take pills that have side effects and things like that. Anything that you take from a pharmaceutical company that's not natural or anything like that, it's always going to come with a side effect. But that's a whole different story for another day. But the one thing I have to try to keep reiterating to all of you empowered individuals, because remember, I never like to think of the term better. We're not better than people. We just choose to live our lives differently. You have to remember that Earth in itself is the battleground between light and dark. Earth is the battleground for all human species to decipher who is, I don't want to keep it as simple as good and bad, because we all do some good and we all do some bad. But it's more about the, I just got some chills when I said that. But it's more about how much love, unconditional love, can you exude into the universe? How much good karma can you put out into the universe? How much can you unconditionally do well for others and not seek vengeance against someone who did you wrong? Because you got to remember, regardless, there's so many spiritual warriors and positive, highly vibrational, enlightened, encouraging beings that basically have walked this earth and that still walking this earth, that are, trying to encourage others to not be so of the world. Because you got to remember, speaking in terms of, Christianity, fallen angels have been banished from heaven, right? So what do? They use the earth as their playing ground, right? They use the earth as their playing ground, and then whatever humans that are not spiritually in tune with God, they will be the most easiest to influence, and you know what? And I'm glad that thought just came to me. So I just watched They Live. You remember that movie, They Live? I think it was like 1986, 1985, 1986, something like that, with wrestler Roddy Piper and rest in peace, Roddy Piper. And then is David something. The black actor, I forgot his name. David something. Is it David Helms? I don't remember. But and whatchamacallit? And it occurred to me so much that, like, the more I watched that movie, I was like, wait a minute, this was made in the 80s. And it seems so much like what's happening to us today. And when you look at the patents about using frequencies to manipulate people's minds and how there are, subliminal messages and film and TV and music and things of that sort, I know a lot of people don't like to believe in stuff like that because it just seems too far-fetched. It's like, what? No, that's a conspiracy. There are patents that prove that someone somewhere in this world basically got the idea to say, if the brain can receive frequencies and transmissions and things of that sort, because remember, the brain is basically a supercomputer. It functions on it has its own natural electrical impulses, and each of those electrical impulses can actually be measured with a numbered frequency, right? Everything has a frequency. You find the resonant frequency of that thing, and you can manipulate it however you want. Now, but yeah, the part where, like, the rebellion guy, he's like, interfering with people's TV broadcasts and interrupting shows, and he's like trying to warn people about frequencies, and there are entities in this world that are basically not really human, and they're doing all these different things, and they're and then the part in the movie, now they're attacking my left knee, and it's so old at this point because they still don't realize they lost anyway. I'm honestly glad, because I'm actually glad that they're doing all this. Why? Because it just only proves my point even more, and it proves the point that God is definitely real. And people don't realize God isn't necessarily the one who's supposed to intervene in everything that that happens to humans on earth. That's not really what he's for. God basically, if God were to do that, then everybody would get their way. You gotta remember, God creates all, but he, after the last time he destroyed mostly all of humanity, God had, I forgot how the story goes, but God basically decided that he wouldn't do it anymore. But what he'll do is he'll grant people, guardian angels, to help defend them against, all the wickedness and the evil spirits that try to, come after, his chosen children and stuff like that. But you have to do your due diligence to basically do what is righteous. You know, you have to strive to be righteous. And then the one thing you have to realize is the spirit of fear, you can't give it energy. You cannot give the spirit of fear any energy. You cannot give it any energy. You give the spirit of fear energy and you lose power from yourself. Do not give the spirit of fear any energy. Don't even entertain it. Don't even try to see if you can resonate with it. Because honestly, if you have been doing everything that is right under the eyes of God, I mean, and that's mostly, like, let me say, if you want to keep it basic, the 10 Commandments. But if you need more, if you need more understanding, there's a few, chapters, a few books within the Bible that, you can definitely find a lot of direction in. Like me, I love to, read or listen to Psalm or Proverbs or the book of Matthew, whatchamacallit, and then, and Ecclesiastes, I forgot how to pronounce it. That in itself speaks of, the fallen angel, Lucifer, who in the Bible is called the Prince of the Power of Air. He talks about, how he will have the ability to influence anyone, who basically grants him access to their spirit, But, yeah, don't give the spirit of fear any energy, Acknowledge the fact that death comes for us all. That's the most powerful thing that you can do, is acknowledge the fact that death comes for us all. No one is going to be able to live forever. No one. And then most importantly, no one will ever know when death will come for them. That's literally one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself, is acknowledge that death comes for us all, and we will never know when it comes. It means absolutely nothing to just basically sit and just be constantly, we're being tortured. Yeah, if you get V2K, they're talking all this bullshit in your ear. Oh, we got a setup coming for you, Chris. It's not a movie. It's not a movie, Christopher. The streets is looking for you. Oh, look, he got cancer. Oh. Scratch all that. You got to remember, if you doing right in the eyes of God, trust and believe this flesh body that we're in, this is nothing compared to what's awaiting for us once we actually, if we've been doing everything right under the eyes of God, this is nothing. This body is nothing compared to the body to the light body that we'll possess when we leave these bodies. We're like, if you've been doing right under the eyes of God, it's already, sticking to Christianity, because that's what I know mostly. But I know a little bit about Hinduism and stuff like that. But there is a part of us that is only trapped in these bodies. But we have to do our due diligence to basically prove that when we leave these bodies, we can become that ascended, more powerful and blissful part of ourselves. When we're in our bodies, we're basically self-contained. We're contained. Like this is our test to see if we can actually just be, if we can do everything, good, and just try our best to, be the light when there's so much darkness in the world. That's what it really is. We have to prove to God that we can be light in this world since there's so much darkness. And when you think about it, yes, we are the minorities. We are the minorities. You know, those of us who are being tortured every day, you know, whether it's the gang, the street theater, or, you know, those of us who's getting the home break-ins, or those of us who got, you know, neighbors using, you know, connected amplifiers to antennas that, you know, basically make the frequency waves more powerful, or, you know, more radiant and things of that sort. You know, we have to prove to God that we are the light within this world. We have to prove that we are the light within this world, because there's so much darkness. I mean, just think about it. If everybody turned into a gang stalker, or joined one of those secret societies, if everybody did, God would see no reason why humanity needs to exist. God would literally just decide to kill everybody again. That's why it hasn't happened again, because there are so many light, you know, influencers that are still living. So we have to constantly, you know, we have to be the ones to, sorry, I got distracted. We have to be the light in this world. We have to show people that if you have no fear, darkness will never gain any power. You know, because if we show fear, then darkness will just take over everything and everybody. And this is what's happening. Because there's not enough people who are connected to the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Because there's not enough people that's connected to the Holy Spirit. That's why there's so much that's so wrong going on in the world. Because it seems like everybody is getting corrupted. But we have to actually, some of us have to actually strive to be the light in this world. Because if we don't, then God might as well just destroy all humans. Doesn't matter what age. God would just need to just destroy all humans, because God is not going to let Earth get destroyed by humans. I promise you that. God is not going to allow humans to destroy the Earth. This is why the Earth in itself has its own defense mechanisms to destroy humans. This is why, you know, there's so many different ways that the Earth can retaliate against humans based on our actions and what we do to the planet. Remember, everything that's wrong with the planet is basically coming from those people who live their life within the darkness and in the shadows and the secrecy, and they got all this greed and thirst for power and control. They're the ones who's destroying the earth. They're the ones who are destroying humanity. You know, think about it. Like, if somebody, like, I respect the Amish even more. I respect the Amish even more because it wasn't until maybe about like 10 years ago when I really started to learn about Amish and how they, how they did not want to live a life with electricity running. They knew something. They knew something that a lot of us never occurred to us, that electricity in itself goes against God in a certain way. Like, man-made electricity goes against God in a certain way. And yes, we use these devices to try to make to communicate with each other better, or to basically be able to. Well, no, we always had lanterns and stuff for us to see. But, yeah, so it's like, when you think about it, all this man-made electricity is basically harmful to the human body. A lot of people still don't understand or realize that, man-made electricity causes us to develop cancers. It affects our emotions. It causes us to have body ailments such as aches and pains, swellings. It has a negative effect on our immune system. It can even alter our DNA. Like, there's a reason why the Amish was just like, nah, don't bring that electricity stuff over here. And they've been living their lives like that for centuries. You know. And it's like, when I think about those small, like, island countries, or those small, tribes and stuff like that, and how many of them survive and thrive for centuries, and they don't have no electricity. No electricity. They don't even come across some of the diseases and viruses that are constantly flowing around, in our societies. Because for whatever reason, they knew that one of the best things that they can do for the survival of their people is to keep their life as simple as possible. Minimalism. I consider myself to be a minimalist. I've learned about minimalism probably about like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's one of the reasons why I actually love the life that I live, because being a minimalist, you realize all the stuff that, that's being advertised, and you're being told and conditioned, you need to have this, you should buy this, or you don't need none of it. All you need is food, shelter. If you need a car where you at, that's fine. You need a car, whatchamacallit, water, clean water if you can. And just a few dollars just to get the things that you need, but anything else is extra. If you want to travel, sure, you work and, save up and go travel. Or you can do like some people do, where they literally just get a backpack, load up on some things that they need, and they just go. Sometimes they have no money at all, and what do they do for money? They probably find a local business and say, hey, I just need to work for a few hours or whatever to make, I'm traveling, can I work or whatever. And people do this. People do that, and they live very fulfilling and thriving lives. Us in our society, we probably think of them as, I don't know, living your life too hard, or something like that. We don't give those. I like to call them survivalists. They're not just minimalists, but they're survivalists too. They get all the credit in the world from me, because I know I oftentimes think about doing such things myself, but I'm pretty much all my mother's got. My sister, she got to take care of her health. Luckily she's married, so she has someone to, they could look out for each other. But I'm all my mother got, so it's like I can't, like God says, honor thy mother and thy father. My pops, he passed away at, he was 83 years old, 82. But that was what, I think like 10 years ago now, 10 or 9 years ago now, so. But yeah, don't let the spirit of fear stop you from being the light that the world needs. Do not let them cause you to lower your vibrations to anger, frustration, fear. Do not allow them to lower your vibrations. You hurt them by telling them, may God have mercy on your soul. You hurt them by telling them, I don't hate you because you not know what you do. I pray for you. I pray for you. I pray for you. I pray for you, because you have no idea what you're doing to your own soul. What they do to our body does not have the same effect on our spirit. Our spirit is completely separate from our body. Our spirit is what basically is powering our body to keep going. But once the body can no longer sustain itself because it's being bombarded with attacks from the world, remember, energy cannot be destroyed. It's only transferred. Energy cannot be destroyed. It's only transferred. So just always remember, don't even entertain them. Just always know that as long as you've been putting out good karma into the universe, that good karma is going to come back and help you in ways that, sometimes we overlook. That good karma is going to come back, and it's going to be something that's going to truly bless you, even in times that you least expect it. Because these people, they don't realize at any given moment, that bad karma, that dark cloud that's just been collecting over their heads, that lightning storm that's developing, they don't realize that any given day or any given moment, any given second, when they die, their spiritual vibrations are all the way down here. And because their spiritual vibrations are all the way down here, they're only going to go further down. And if you go down, you will not find no peace in, the spiritual realm. They're not going to find any peace. They're laughing now because they got their fingers on the trigger. That ha ha ha, look, he's in pain. Ah ha ha ha, da 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 da. Trust and believe. I honestly don't care whether my body lives or dies. Honestly, I really don't. I really don't, because God tells us that we are not to worry about death, but we are to keep his commandments while we're alive. We have to be the light of the world. And we have to expect that when you are the light of the world, those who work in darkness, their whole agenda is to destroy as much light, because they're under the influence of the prince of the power of air. So, just always remember, you're much stronger than they are, because they had to band together in order to try to see if they can lower your vibration down to their level. That's why they gang stalk. That's why they gang up on you, because you're so powerful spiritually. Because you're so powerful spiritually, they have to gang up and surround you. That's why they surround you. That's why none of them approaches you face to face. That's why none of them come at you without weapons in their hands. That's why none of them could ever shoot a fair one with you. They always got to find some way to try to see if they can cheat or, outnumber you or something along those lines. That's why they always got to try to see if they can surround you, because they can't live them lives like you do. That's why they run in groups, because they can't live their lives like you do. Jesus, Jesus necessarily, like, that's why I love the story of Jesus so much, because Jesus literally, like, he had disciples, but at the same time, he knew that at the same time, he needed to step away from them and always remember to connect himself with the Holy Spirit. Why? Because we are all born as individuals to think like an individual and to also give our praises to God as an individual, because we all have our own individual destinies within this world. But I'm gonna end it here. Um, every video I say I'm gonna try to see if I can reduce the time that I spend talking, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's a lot that needs to be said, and since my target and start, I was just like, you know what, I need to get as much of what I'm saying out, because like I said, you never know when you're gonna go. And and for what it's worth, it always seems like people who are doing great things while they're alive, they never get as fully appreciated until they die. And it's the truth. But you know what? All that great energy that they put into the world while they were living, it's gonna pay them back. It's paying them back, thoroughly, right now, as they're living in their afterlife right now. So yeah, as always, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.